he doesn't even know that we know, and like we're not gonna say anything. I'm like, what? Like, what? I don't understand that dynamic through what is this person going to be in my life. Some people might say like it doesn't have to be that serious, but from my perspective, it does. It really does. In a way that I don't know if she ever cared about me. I just don't have like time for that. I have no friends. I should caveat that by saying I have one lifelong friend that I have known for the past 15 years, and we are best friends, but she doesn't live in New York. And I have some friends, more like acquaintances in New York that I occasionally go out with and do stuff with, but as far as having a group of friends, don't have that. I know some people talk about how they have never had friends or they've never had a group of friends. My situation is a little bit different. I had a very big group of friends coming out of college, and for several years after college, we all lived in New York together and we all lived relatively close by each other, so we were always around each other. And around 2021, more like me, I went through a massive friendship breakup with this group of people. And to be more specific, I went through a massive friendship breakup with my best friend in that group of friends. So the person that I lived with in my college years, I thought would be in my life forever. Basically, long story short, she was my best friend, but at the same time, as the years were going by, I realized that she wasn't really a good friend. She was somebody that I felt like I was putting most of the effort in and carrying our friendship, and I really cared about her in a way that I don't know if she ever cared about me. And so we had a few conversations before our breakup. I told her that I was feeling this way, and she totally understood, or seemingly understood, and apologized for certain things. But only, I would say like 6 months later was when we went through this huge breakup. It's a super long story, but basically I was the first person to always defend my friend and be on her side through everything. And she didn't really have as many friends as I did at the time, and I had really brought her in to the rest of my friend group, and most of my friends were the friends that she had. I kind of kept my loyalties towards her, so when some things went down in the larger friend group that I felt like were unfair to her, I really stood by her, and unfortunately she didn't see that for what it was and kind of just like threw me under the bus. One other thing that I feel like doesn't get talked that much about is friendships that are uneven as far as where people are with their self-confidence journey. My ex-best friend was somebody who was very insecure, and in a lot of ways I was much more secure than her. That made me feel like I could give her more. I could help her more. I could introduce her to people and events and be her crutch. It was something I was willing to do because I felt like this is my best friend and this is someone who will always be there for me, so why should I not help them with their self-growth journey? In that situation, it completely backfired and that person never changed, and in the end, her insecurities ended up backstabbing me. I don't think a lot of times people talk about how that imbalance of confidence can impact friendships, and a lot of times when people are toxic, it comes from a place of them not being super confident in who they are. And that's not to say that you can't have friends that are insecure, because I'm insecure in so many ways, but when it comes to knowing what I stand for and what I believe, like I know those things, and so it just was a really bad combination trying to be best friends with somebody who didn't have that identity. When I go out and look for new friendships, I specifically look for people that at least have a really confident, strong stance in what they believe to be right and wrong in their lives and how they want to be treated and how they treat other people. And like a way that I judge if I want to be friends with someone is if when they have an opinion on something, does it change because other people are saying like, oh, but I like this thing, or like that thing's so weird or whatever? Or does it stay the same, and do they like hold their ground? Because that's something that is so important to me, and that's like what builds the foundation of trust. If I believe that someone really can hold their ground in what they believe and aren't going to be swayed by other people, I trust them. I trust them because those are people that have a navigation. They know where their north is, and you don't have to guess that it's going to change from day to day. At the end of the day, what I realized was this person's really insecure, and I've done so much work to include her into my life and to get her to a place where she felt more secure about herself. She definitely didn't do anything like that for me. So she ended up being somebody who had no backbone when it came down to it, cared too much if everyone else liked her. Apparently I was the only person that she didn't care about. We went through something and I decided that, you know what, this is not even a good person. We stopped talking in 2021. We still haven't spoken till this day. And the problem was that I had introduced her and brought her into this group of friends that I had. When we had this falling out, a small other thing happened and I kind of checked out a little bit. I was mad and angry with some people and I just kind of stopped seeing them for a bit, and it turns out that my other best friend kind of like swooped in and just took all my friends. I don't know how to explain it in like a short way. So this day, she is still friends with them. I have not spoken to them. And I remember at the time feeling extremely confident in my decision to walk away from these people. Yes, I saw them all the time. It was super convenient to have them around living in New York City, but they weren't people that I felt like had the same character and values as me anymore. And I felt like I was really maintaining these friendships because of convenience rather than feeling confident about who these people were and were becoming as we were getting older. It has been 4 years now, so I have been slowly building more friendships and meeting new people since then, but you know, nothing is the same as when you have like a huge integrated group of friends that all know each other. I definitely went through a lot of ups and downs of feeling like, wow, I regret this, this sucks, like why haven't they reached out to me, and blah blah blah. And I think at the end of the day, as I'm 30 now, it becomes really clear that, you know, people that have these group of friends like that, maybe from college or sororities or frats, that's kind of an anomaly, like in the grand scheme of things. A lot of people are more like me, where they go through friendship breakups, they have different groups of friends. It was just new to me, and I've only been learning more about myself and like the types of friendships that I want over the past couple of years in my later 20s. I think what was really important was that I was getting to an age where I realized it actually did matter to me if people had certain morals and if people had certain ways of like operating within friendships. And I think in my early 20s, like people don't really think about that as much. It's more just like, will these people go to the bar with me? Will they like go to concerts with me? And I think that's really easy. To have like lifelong friendships, I think is so much more difficult, especially as a person who takes like character really seriously. Sometimes I beat myself up. I'm like, why do I have to take character and all these things so seriously? Like maybe I'm holding people to a standard that's not fair. But at the end of the day, I realize like I don't need people that make me feel bad for expecting certain morals from them. And I'd rather be alone. There's still days where I definitely feel lonely and wish that I had like this convenient huge circle of friends. Building new friendships, it's definitely a lot of work, and it's weird because building new friendships in your 30s especially is like really strange. Nothing happens naturally. You have to put in so much effort, as opposed to, you know, when you're younger, you're just kind of like in the same environment as a bunch of people in school and college and it just happens. But this is not how it works at this point. I was thinking about it too, that like as we get older, we move. We might move for a job when we have kids. It's such an important skill to be able to, one, figure out what types of people you want to be around, and then finding them, and then building the relationship with them. I've been learning a lot about like how I want to be a part of certain communities and how that would look, what still interests me, maybe what doesn't interest me anymore, and how I can like grow in those spaces. Something that I'm doing is I'm joining a book club with a bunch of people I don't know, because reading is something that I love to do, and like in my old group of friends, none of them read. And there's nothing wrong with that, but like, we just didn't have that much in common at the end of the day. I'm definitely a loner to begin with, and I've always been that way. When I was in high school, I had like 2 friends, and I always wanted to just be alone, like being on YouTube, watching things and reading things and just like doing my own weird shit. And I always felt like no one understood me and whatever, and no one really cared about the things that I liked. But it was fine because I just like liked being by myself and just doing my thing. So I'm definitely like more used to that than maybe the standard average person. But when you're like doing that all of the time, and then you're also living in a city where it's there's like 8 million people here, you can start to feel like, okay, I should be getting out there and I should be taking advantage of the fact that there's so many people here. But at the same time, it's so fucking hard. I think it becomes so important, especially when you're going into your 30s and when you get older, that you have less time. You just have less time for things. So it is important to feel like the friendships that you're pouring yourself into are actually good for you and for them, and are going to be based on like common values and being aligned with what you guys expect from the friendship and from the other person. Do you expect this person to be an honest and supportive and empathetic person, or do you expect them to just be more like fun and like convenient and ready to go out when you're ready? Like, you can have different friendships to begin with, but like when you start having less time as you get older, I feel like you have to become a little bit more intentional about what kind of friendships you want and like pour yourself into those. And to me, friendships are not something that should be taken so lightly. And like, I think a lot of the friendships that I had coming out of college were just based on convenience, not wanting to put in the effort to like go out there and make new friends from scratch. And having that group of friends kind of gave me this like false confidence that I didn't need to go make any more friends. Obviously that came back to bite me. The friendships that I'm now building can feel us both putting in the effort, and that sometimes feels a little like, I don't want to say forced, because it's not, it is forced, but it's like just temporary, because it's like when you're dating, you should both be aware that the other person is putting an effort to get to know each other more. And sometimes that can be tough, like especially if you're more introverted or shy, but I'm telling you, it's so much more rewarding, and it also gives you this time and this space to like really think through, what is this person going to be in my life, and what can I be for them, and what do we align on? And some people might say like, it doesn't have to be that serious, but from my perspective, it does. It really does. I might just be a very serious and intense person, but like, I don't like having people in my life that I'm showing up for 100% and then they're showing up like 50%, or they're like not sticking up for me or not supporting me in my endeavors. People that are not like that are just taking energy away from me. I just don't have like time for that. So yeah, it's fucking nice when you have a big group of friends who's like, there's always someone down to do whatever you want to do, but you can also do that alone, or you can do that with people that you find intentionally because you think they're a good person and you want them to be in your life. So I guess part of this really is about being comfortable with doing things by yourself, because then you're not having to rely on potential like quote unquote friends that you don't even like. And you can be so much more selective and like honest about who you want to be doing things with. I personally, like I said, have never had too much of an issue doing things by myself. It's also really nice to be your own friend. Like, no one knows me as much as I know me. It's so much harder to do something that makes 2 people happy rather than 1. And so there's times when it's actually like just so nice to be doing stuff by myself. If I'm going and like want to go try a new bakery and then I want to go look at little knickknacks and shop afterwards, like I don't have to consider what someone else wants to do or what they're feeling like. I can just go do those things. And I think that's really like wonderful. I think there's like sometimes people are just really afraid to do things on their own, and I get it. Like it can be daunting, especially when everyone else seems to be doing things together. My perspective is that a lot of people are just scared. You can just think of it also as like, there's probably a lot of people that were like me, who might look like they're doing things with a bunch of people all the time, but they don't even know if they like them. I don't think that looking at other people and seeing them out with their friends all the time is like a good measuring stick for literally anything, because trust me, I know a lot of people that have a lot of friends and their friendships are so superficial and like just surprisingly like empty, which was something that to me is so baffling. Like, I just don't even know how to have relationships like that, I guess. And maybe that's why I had such a big falling out with these people, because I could have just ignored how they made me feel and like how their characters were not great, and I could still have them in my life. But I just can't do that. Like, it's just not possible for me not see someone on a deeper level. I don't remember where I was going with this. But yeah, like, I do think that there's so much to be learned about yourself without friends influencing that, and sometimes it's like harder to figure out who you are when you have that a ton of friends. As somebody who's grown to really like being alone, being more than fine doing things by myself, I love traveling by myself, by the way. It's like my favorite thing. I just don't see as much value in like having that type of superficial friendships. If you don't have friends, or if like maybe you feel like you don't have enough friends like compared to other people, trust me, you don't need to worry about that. You just need to worry about the friendships that you think are really meaningful to you, putting your effort into that and going from there. Because as you get older, it really becomes much more about deeper connections than like this superficial, like who has the largest group of friends. That's all nice and fun. In 10 years from now, when I'm 40, I don't think, even if I still had that group of friends, don't really think that I would be around them and seeing them and talking to them. Like, they weren't people that really like deeply connected. Like, we weren't talking about our lives or connecting in that deep way. It was just a fun thing. And so I think when you get older, especially, people just go about their own lives and they're so busy that it pays off to have invested more in yourself, and then also into maybe a select few of relationships that are with people that you really align with and that you feel really like understood by. So that's my take.